I'm officially starting my videos. Now, if you haven't the slightest idea what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, it's all in my vlog. The link is below, but who am I kidding? Nobody's gonna click on it and read what happened. So, to make a long story short, I was a contestant on season 4 of the Great American Baking Show. Now, if you don't know the Great American Baking Show, maybe you'll be more familiar with the Great British Bake Off. You know, Mary Berry, Paul Hollywood. However, due to a series of unfortunate events, I had to drop out the day before filming. Why? I was devastated and nobody was going to be able to see my creations. But now that the show is finally airing, I think it's safe to say I can reveal this information in the bakes I created for the show. Now, I don't have a large platform like ABC to broadcast these videos, so this is the best I can do to not let my bakes or ideas go to waste. So, here we go. The first episode was Cake Week, and for the signature challenge, they asked us to make a single layered coffee cake with a distinctive swirl in the middle. So for that challenge, I created a pistachio orange wreath with a cardamom swirl. It's basically an orange cake with loads of pistachios and cardamom. Because it was a holiday edition, I tried to make it look like a wreath, sort of. So for my pistachio and orange wreath, I'm going to start off with a streusel. I'm adding brown sugar, plain flour, cardamom, and butter. I just like to use my hands to make the streusel. I want the butter to be really cold for when I put it on top of the cake batter. What I like to do is put the streusel in the freezer while I get my cake batter ready. It becomes a nice crumbly topping. I'm just going to take half of this mixture and use it as the filling. And the other half is going to go on top. So I already went ahead and blitzed some pistachios in my food processor. And now I'm going to add it to the streusel. This is going to be the filling that goes in the middle of the cake. Now I'm just creaming the butter and sugar together and adding the eggs. I like to use vanilla bean paste as opposed to vanilla extract because I think it's more flavorful and I like the specks of vanilla beans. Now to this I'm going to add a little bit of sour cream. It helps the cake stay really moist. Also, because it's an orange cake, I'm going to add a little bit of orange zest to it. Some freshly squeezed orange juice. If I can get it. Wow. So that's it for the wet ingredients. For the dry ingredients, I'm using a little bit of self-raising flour, a bit of baking powder, a little bit of baking soda, and some salt. Self-raising flour is very different from self-rising flour. Self-rising flour is something that we use here in the US. I don't use it. Most people use it for making biscuits and things like that. Self-raising flour is flour that already has raising agents incorporated into it, and that is available in the UK only, unfortunately. But I really like using self-raising flour because the texture of the cakes turn out a lot lighter and fluffier, and I purchased it online from the British Corner Shop, but it's okay to just use plain flour and add, baking soda and baking powder to it. I'm sifting my dry ingredients into the bowl. I really don't like to overmix batter because it becomes really tough and dense, and I don't like that. So I'm going to finish mixing this by hand. Am I the only one that does this? I don't like to waste batter either. So that's it for the batter. Now we get to assemble it. I'm just using a cookie scoop to distribute the batter because I just found this is the easiest way to get it in without making a mess. Now I'm going to add my filling. I sprinkled the pistachio streusel filling in the middle and covered it with the rest of the batter. Now I made these little templates that go on top of the cake. I'm gonna go grab the streusel. The streusel is nice and cold. That's a good indication it's gonna be nice and crispy in the oven. So I'm gonna go pop this in the oven. While the cake is in the oven, I'm gonna start on my decorations. I already went ahead and made some of these candied oranges. For the candied orange, I just peeled the orange skin and boiled it for about 10 minutes. And then I put it back into the pot with some water and sugar. Once it was translucent, I just removed it, shook off the excess syrup, and tossed it in some sugar. That's what it looks like. Just using this piping tip to punch out little holes. So you can see, it's really easy to cut. So they're like little berries. I'm just going to chop up some pistachios for the top of the cake. We don't carry pistachio nibs here in the US. I requested pistachio nibs for the show because they're really, really beautiful and perfectly green and vibrant, and it's really pretty for decorations. But because I can't get them in the US, I have to just use regular pistachios. They're still green. It's not as vibrant, but it's okay. Another thing I really wanted to use were fresh currants. They're red, they're beautiful, and they're not easily accessible here in the US. We only have them for about a week in the end of December. So I have to use cranberries instead. Yay, so my cake is done. Isn't she beauteous? I have to wait for this to cool before I could turn it out, otherwise it's just gonna fall apart. The texture of the crumb is very delicate and fragile at the moment, but it turned out so well and it's so beautiful. I love it. For the show, I made this little door. It's a cake board, and I cut out these cardboard strips and made these rectangles, and then I covered it in cake foil to make it look like a door, so that this wreath is just hanging on the door. But it got ruined. It got destroyed in my suitcase when it got lost. Airline, airport, whoever takes care of the luggage, thank you so much again for that. So I can't use it, but that's okay. The cake is cool now, so I'm gonna decorate it. The cardamom and the orange smell amazing together. I have here a little bit of the sugar syrup that I made the candied oranges with. So this is sticky, and I'm gonna just brush a little bit of it onto the bare parts of the cake. I'm also doing this so that the pistachios can stick, otherwise they would just fall right off. I'm gonna add the pistachios. And because I don't have fresh currants and I'm using cranberries instead, I'm just coating the cranberries in the simple syrup, and I'm just gonna roll them around in sugar. So this was my signature pistachio and orange wreath that I created for the show. If you'd like to know what I made for the showstopper, I'll be posting that soon, so stay tuned.